I would likewise want to congratulate Mercy on this, what I think is a truly great contribution, and thank you for making me a part of this, asking me to be here today. So, I actually found it the first of all, I should say that I have no formal training in history, so forgive me if from that standpoint I might miss some of the finer points. But my impression of the work was that it. I actually think that by focusing on a multi-century time scale, it somehow gives us a sense of, the, at least in broad strokes, the major changes that have taken place, and it enabled me to situate myself in that grand scheme, so to speak. So I'm from the College of Medicine in UP Manila, and if you go to our building, it does have this historical character. It's like if you read some of sorry, is it? I actually found it quite refreshing because I go there every day. I live in Quezon City and I have to go to Manila every day, and then it's dirty. I'm not an American, and I will tell you that it is. There is not. You do get some degree of night soil on the streets for some reason. I don't investigate, but it's there. So. And then, there are a lot of things that I used to take for granted. I used to live on Leon, Leon Maria Guerrero Street, which is almost just outside the gate of our building. And, I didn't really give it any thought to that. Siguro politiko lang yun parang, di ba, the practice in Manila is like, when somebody wins an election, they change the street names. I had no idea that was actually the first licensed pharmacist in the country. So it gives, I think that, it has this generalist appeal. So that, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this as required reading for some of the subjects, perhaps, say in the College of Medicine. So there's an art of medicine course that we have for the medical students. So, and I think it helps us, as a broader community, it helps us find some kind of common ground. So, having said that, I think that one problem that at least personally, I see with the way we have been doing our work for maybe the past 100 years or so is that it's obviously very discipline based, and especially in my particular department. The very name of my department is the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. So it really forces us to focus on extremely narrow spaces and time scales. But I think it's important to have this kind of work that tells us that we're actually in this bigger shared space. And I also think that the tabular data towards the end is a very rich source of information that can conceivably tie together multiple disciplines as like some sort of springboard for further research. So I am currently involved in a medicinal plants related kind of project. Although it's not my main area of research, our department currently has a project, and my particular part of that project has to do with if you're familiar with the 10 medicinal plants, yung tinatawag na 10 halamang gamot, which is actually mentioned at the start. I think in the forward even in the book. It just so happens that, because they're essentially food plants that people have been eating for a long time. People have never really thought to look into the safety aspect of it. We just take it for granted. When in fact, there's this saying that all things are poison. Probably Paracelsus was it from the 16th century? I can't remember. I think it's the 16th century Central Europe. So he challenged a lot of beliefs at that time, and he said all things are poison and nothing is without poison. It's actually the dose that makes the poison. And furthermore, now we know that it's not just the dose per se, but it's also the person and the person's circumstances. Okay? You could be taking it today, but have a different reaction to it maybe 2 years from now. So we are doing things like, for my particular work, what we're doing is, or what we have been doing is, we have been using mice and giving them these medicinal plants or fruit extracts of medicinal plants, which are not very different from what you and I would take if we wanted, say, pain relief or relief from inflammation. And then shortly after that, injecting them with a vaccine, which is like a tetanus vaccine, which is the same thing that you and I would get if we had a dirty wound or something like that and had a really emergency. And just seeing that if, will it affect the immune response in a bad way? Meaning, that will it make the vaccine not work as it should normally work? So far, it seems that it's okay. It's not interfering with how the vaccine is working. In fact, we found that it might actually be enhancing things. It's too early to say. It's too early to say exactly what's going on, but it seems to be safe. And going back to, having this historical perspective of that basic science, and its applied version nowadays. It gives you this sense that you're not doing this as part of something that's just emerged in the past year or couple of years. There's actually a tradition that goes back centuries. So I think that, as mentioned earlier, it is very readable, very accessible, yet very rich in terms of information and insight. And I hope that this will indeed be a springboard for further interdisciplinary endeavors. In fact, if I may add, if you look at the table at the end, I'm imagining what would it be like if you could have this on some kind of website. Like it's essentially a database on paper. But what if it were a database in cyberspace? What if it had all these links, and then you could dive in the history of it, or the anthropology of it, or the biochemistry of it, the pharmacology of it, and all sorts of other directions. Wouldn't that be an even more awesome kind of experience? So I think I may have exceeded 10 minutes, but so thank you very much.